Okay, so because of all of the drama that I was experiencing with the Pocahontas costume, with the men ogling me, and with the costume not fitting properly in the back to where I was having to pin the costume, I complained about it so much finally, and even after they created a completely new costume for me that was fitted to my figure and everything, I was just so upset by the other things that were going on around Animal Kingdom, because it was consistent. It was almost kind of like a bullying situation. I don't know, maybe they knew I was the girl who wasn't going to retaliate. I don't know. Finally came the day when a manager told me, look, Jennifer, if you don't want to be Pocahontas anymore, why don't you just go ahead and disapprove yourself, and that way you only have to be Princess Jasmine and you never have to go back to Animal Kingdom unless it's for a first shift. And the thing is, there weren't hardly any Pocahontases. I want to say it was like me and maybe one other girl. And so they were forcing me to work at Animal Kingdom, and like they were even taking me out of my bid, which full-time characters, like I had, you have seniority, and so I used to bid to be Princess Jasmine because my hierarchy said that, you know, I could choose to be Princess Jasmine anywhere. But because we didn't have Pocahontas characters, they were pulling me out of my bid and making me do Pocahontas at Animal Kingdom, and I didn't like Animal Kingdom, so I was miserable. And I was like, let me disapprove myself so that I never have to go back there again. And that is what I did, and I never went back to Animal Kingdom again. It was wonderful, except to do fur. Very rarely. I got to be at Epcot where I had bid, and my life was suddenly happy. Suddenly I was doing my dream job, what I had wanted, which, you know, working with Aladdin at Epcot and just being in Norway and in all the different countries where I was so happy, and my life was great. But in my disapproving myself as Pocahontas, that meant that the other girls who were cast as Pocahontas in Disney World were suddenly going to have to take my place and be pulled from wherever it was that they were and put to work at Rafiki's Planet Watch. Guess who ends up going to Rafiki's Planet Watch to fill in for Pocahontas since I was no longer doing it? It was a girl who did Pocahontas in the Fantasmic show. There were two girls who did Pocahontas in the Fantasmic show, and they were the ones all of a sudden having to go to Animal Kingdom, and they were livid. If you remember at the beginning of my video, I talked about how Hollywood Studios was the place to be. That's where the people who, the highest seniority, like the dancers, the people who had the right to have the biggest egos were all at Hollywood Studios. And so suddenly those girls were having to go to the awful place that was Animal Kingdom, and you know, it was awful in my mind. And so for all the same reasons that I disliked Animal Kingdom, I'm pretty sure these girls disliked Animal Kingdom for that reason. Again, that feeling of isolation, the feeling of people not liking you because you're you know, Pocahontas, the one face character. You can imagine that those girls were pretty upset, and they were like, why is this happening, you know? First of all, casting had told me that they could not find anybody who looked like Pocahontas, and so that is why they were having to schedule me. And I was like, when are you going to hire more Pocahontases so that I could have my Jasmine bid? And they were like, sorry, we can't find any girls. You know, I don't know why casting had such a hard time finding Pocahontas characters, but they did for this or that reason that I don't even know. I never found out why it was so hard to find girls who could be Pocahontas at Animal Kingdom. So if you think you look like Pocahontas, maybe you need to go do Disney a favor and say, hey, will you consider me for Pocahontas? Because they might not be looking for Pocahontases because she's not super popular at Disney. Sometimes you just need to tell the Disney casting what they need. Be like, yo, I heard you need Pocahontases. Just have them on staff here and there. Just take me. So just tell them. So as the days are going by, I want to say it wasn't more than a couple of weeks before I started hearing rumors from the girls who were doing Pocahontas that I was, you know, the B word, that I was, you know, how crappy I was for disapproving myself in Pocahontas because they have higher seniority than me and they are more important than me. Why are they being, you know, told to go to Animal Kingdom? Like, it was all my fault. Suddenly it was all my fault that they were suffering at Animal Kingdom. and they were livid. They got pulled out of what was like heaven at Hollywood Studios to go to this very unhappy, sad place. And I mean, I could understand their frustration, you know, but at the same time, I was just happy not to be there. Yes. So they were pretty frustrated, and they were just talking so much trash. I don't even remember all the trash that they were saying, but if they could have like drawn a poster with like a knife in my head. These girls like hated me. Like they probably wanted to beat me up. I don't know. These girls were like tough girls too. Like they had some, they were really good Pocahontases. They were better, one of them was a better, way better Pocahontas than me. But there was one girl in particular who was pretty furious. These girls that did Pocahontas, like I felt like they were super popular in the world of Disney entertainment because everybody knew their names. Everybody knew who Pocahontas in Fantasmic was. So we all knew their names. And these people had a lot of friends in the Disney entertainment world, like friends in high places kind of thing, casting friends, I don't know, all these people. And because they were talking so much trash, you know, their friends who love them and want to comfort them and be on their side were like, oh, you know, yeah, they sided with them. And so I felt like there were so many people who were angry at me. It wasn't just Pocahontas. All of a sudden it was all of her friends and buddies, the Mary Poppins, whoever, you know, were also mad at me because I was causing trouble for their friend, you know, and, you know, they took her side. It was two girls who did Pocahontas, but one of them especially was mad because between the two that were cast as Pocahontas at Fantasmic, one of them had more seniority than the other one, and so the one with the lower seniority was the one who was even more angry because she was the one having to do most of the shifts at Animal Kingdom. But she was really good friends with an Aladdin that was frequently cast at Hollywood Studios, and he was this Colombian guy. I have a Colombian background. He was kind of like me, Colombian American. He had green eyes, so he thought he was like really hot stuff because, you know, me coming from a Colombian background, if you have green eyes in the Colombian culture, you're like seen as this good-looking super guy, like all the girls love you kind of thing. So he thought he was like hot stuff. And I remember he came, for some reason, he was cast one day with me at Magic Kingdom. And so we were working together and he was just talking so much trash to me. And I was like, I was very sensitive, you know, I was in my early 20s. And I remember crying with some of the things that this girl, this Pocahontas, was saying. Like, it would just, you know, I didn't understand how somebody could be so angry. Like, what did I ever do to her? Like, I hadn't done anything to her personally, and my disapproving myself wasn't like, oh, let me go ruin somebody else's life. It wasn't like that. It was just that I was so miserable at Animal Kingdom. And I feel like in order to fully understand, you have to be a girl in her early 20s in Disney entertainment. Like, there's a lot of emotions and everything. But this Aladdin character, he was just so angry with me. Like, on all of our breaks, he's like, you know, you're so messed up. How could you do that? Don't you know that my friend so-and-so, I won't say her name, she's like, don't you know that she has higher seniority than you? It should be you over there at Animal Kingdom and not her. She shouldn't be the one suffering. You're making her suffer. And like talking so much junk to me. And I'm like, how am I supposed to just turn? I'm so angry, like, and frustrated and sad and feeling so emotional right now. Like, I want to just cry. And I was supposed to like go out on set and act like I was some happy Princess Jasmine with her Prince Ali, in love with him kind of thing. It was a really hard day and I had to act like I was in love with him and like all was hunky-dory when we were coming off set. He was not someone who I enjoyed. I kind of felt like he was very full of himself and cocky. In fact, he was. I'll just say it right now. I hope he's not anymore now that we're older. I don't know. You know, I have my regrets. Hopefully he regrets being cocky. I don't know. But I remember feeling like he was also kind of attracted to me too. Like he thought he could get me kind of thing. And I remember he hit on me at the end of the day too. Like he was like, you know, but if you ever want to get with me, you know, I'm here. I don't know, some junk. And I was like thinking to myself, wow, you were just making me feel this big about how I was such a horrible person because I ruined your friend's life. You know, the girl who played Pocahontas or whatever. I ruined her life, but now you're trying to mac? Like what? And I was married anyway. I think I was like, look, dude, I'm just married. I'm not trying to cause, I didn't want to have enemies. And that was like something that I kind of look back on, like, you know what? I wish I would have been okay with people not liking me and with people hating me. I feel like I'm better about that now that I'm older. Obviously, nobody wants to be hated. Especially when I was young, I didn't want people to be angry with me. It was a very challenging time for me. I remember working at Epcot a lot with this one Aladdin in particular, who would tell me all of the stuff that people were saying about me at Hollywood Studios. He's like, man, everyone's talking smack about you in the break room over at Hollywood Studios. They hate you over there. And I'm thinking, why is he telling, now I'm looking back, I'm like, why was he telling me how much they hate me? Like, that is just gonna make someone, I just started bawling when he was telling me that. And he's like, yeah, I keep telling them you're such a sweet girl and that you're so nice, but they don't want to listen to me. But I'm sticking up for you over there. And I'm just thinking, okay, I don't know, like, thank you. I told them thank you. Like, I was happy. Like, they didn't know me. That's the thing. I rarely, if ever, worked at Hollywood Studios. And when I did, it was only to do the parade and come back. So it's not like, why, I don't understand why they would have hated me. I never even had a chance. Of course, I knew it was because of the Pocahontas thing. But man, I was like, why is, and she just had all her friends angry at me too. I felt like I was hearing it from everybody. Everyone, it seemed, was coming up to me. Man, you know you're really hated by so-and-so. They're calling you this and that. Her anger, it just kept going on and on. I remember just bawling one time at Magic Kingdom in the tunnels underneath, and there was an Aurora who was so sweet, the best girl. I loved her. I don't even remember her name. I want to say her name was Kristen. I can't believe, I wish I would have kept in touch with her. She was so awesome. She was consoling me in the locker room at Magic Kingdom and just hugging me. And I was so thankful for people like her who were there for me during that really hard time. But at the same time, those people who were there for me, you know, there were very few of them. But, you know, she wasn't always there to hold my hand. Sometimes people caught me off guard telling me, oh, you know, so-and-so called you a bee today. And it's like, what? And then I remember one day I was scheduled to do the parade at Hollywood Studios. I don't know if I was scheduled or if somebody gave it to me, but I didn't want to turn it down because it was a parade shift. And again, how often did I get a chance to do that? Again, I think I did it like a handful of times. So when somebody offered it to me, I took it. But it meant that I was going to have to go to Hollywood Studios and face the people who were talking trash against me. And when I went, I just remember I snuck into the break room, like the major, where where you check in with management and everything. It was this big break room area, dressing rooms for the girls and everything. And the Aladdin was sitting on the sofa, and he was this cool Aladdin that everybody loved. He was handsome and everything. He was just awesome. And I was his Jasmine in the parade float that day. And I remember he saw me and he was like, hey, Jen, come sit with me. And he totally took me under his arm, like under his wing. And he just loved on me and just sheltered me and protected me, I felt like, from all the haters that were in that room. And I remember people like mad dogging me, giving me just the evil eye and stuff. But thankfully, because he was cool, like nobody really, I don't know, nobody came up to us or said anything, but I felt like they wanted to. Like, had I been alone, I just would have felt so scared in that room, is how I would have, very insecure. But I just remember he was there for me. And then I remember getting into the float that day, and the girl, her and one of her buddies had the audacity. They came up to me and they just gave me a dirty look, and I forget what they said. They said some smack talking to me when I was up in the parade float. I was already, like, our float was getting ready to go, and they just had their hands on their hips and were like looking at me like, you know, like all angry and bitter. And I wish I could remember what they said. I wish I had like a video clip of it. I don't know. They tried to talk trash, but the Aladdin was there with me. I was really thankful for him. And so eventually I ended up going seasonal at Disney World in Disney Entertainment because, again, it was like 60 hours a week. It was more than I could handle. I wanted to be at home more. And so I ended up going seasonal and going to work full-time at the Disney Grand Floridian Spa, but I would still pick up shifts to do Princess Jasmine just randomly throughout the month. And that's where I got to meet Rachel Henkel, who performed or was friends with Snow White, and she just brought me so much joy. And I think, you know, it was meant to be, and it all worked out in the end. I ended up enjoying Disney World, working at Disney so much more in the Disney Grand Floridian Spa. I really, really loved having one foot in the spa, one foot in Disney Entertainment. And I loved being a facialist at the spa more than I ever thought that I would or could. You know, I got to play with skincare all day, and I got to help women, and I didn't mind touching their faces or extracting blackheads or any of that. I loved it. If you're curious about my time working at Disney's Grand Floridian Spa, I will leave a link below in the description box. I remember also beginning to feel guilty, like it was all my fault that somebody was suffering, and maybe I did the wrong thing by disapproving myself as Pocahontas. Maybe that was crappy of me to disapprove myself as Pocahontas. I'm kind of all over the place. When I look back, I'm kind of like, you know, could I have just gotten over it? I feel like now that I'm older, I would have known how to handle the people at Animal Kingdom who were not pleasant to work with. But at the time, I did not have the backbone or the knowledge or the savvy to deal with people who were unpleasant. But now I feel like I know, but you know, it all worked out in the end. I feel like working at the spa was just where I needed to be. So that was my mean girl story. Sorry it wasn't more detailed. Sorry I don't remember like specifics of exactly what people said. We're talking about like 10 years ago, so I guess if I could go back and advise myself, I would say, you know what, Jen, it's okay. It's okay that there's a group of people who are not happy with you and that don't like you. They don't know you. They're not your friend. They're just angry. You have to understand things from their perspective. You know, focus on the friends you do have and be happy with them. And if somebody doesn't like you, it's okay. Like, that's what I would have told myself. But when you are the young person in that moment and you don't want to be alone, you just want to have friends who love you, you know, it's hard. So there's my mean girl story. Not something that I like to remember. It's not something that I like to dwell on, but I did learn lessons from it. And I feel like when you experience challenges in your life, it builds character and you're able to better empathize with others who are going through similar situations. I hope this video wasn't too boring because, you know, I didn't get into like some major fist fight with somebody or anything like that. Or thank you so much for watching this video. Again, please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos similar to this. Please like this video if you liked it. Share this video if you think someone else might find it interesting. And I hope you guys are having a great week. All right, bye-bye.